Sweet Life has had a lot of different guest star episodes throughout the course of its run, but I wanted to use this time to talk about the original series since I have a few videos planned about on deck. The Sweet Life episode in question today is one that I'm sure you guys remember relatively well, the Jesse McCartney episode. For those unfamiliar with Jesse McCartney, he's the voice of Dick Grayson in Young Justice and Theodore in the live-action Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. Oh yeah, he was also like a famous singer in the 2000s too. The episode begins with a bunch of screaming girls gathering outside the Tipton, waiting for the arrival of Jesse McCartney, who Carrie mistakes for Paul McCartney. Jesse manages to find his way into the hotel and asks London where the manager's office is. After doing a double take, she realizes that she just spoke to Mr. McCartney himself and passes out. Okay, theme song time. Yeah, this one's a banger, a classic even. One of Disney's very best. I'll give it a 4. So the B plot for this episode focuses around Arwen teaming up with Cody to help him with his school science project. Like I said, I won't really be covering the B plots in this video, but just thought I'd acknowledge it. Shout out Brian Stepanek though, he's the GOAT.
Ein Buttertoast?
Maddie wants to get a picture of Jesse for her school newspaper, and London promises that she'll be able to get them both in the room where he's rehearsing due to the fact that she and Jesse are both celebrities. And that made me think about something. I feel like there have been several times throughout the series where the writers just kind of forgot that London is a celebrity, because like you'd think that she'd constantly get approached by people all the time asking for autographs and photos, but in the movie, for instance, she's walking around in public without a single person stopping her. Her level of fame just kind of fluctuates depending on who's writing the episode, I guess. Mosby catches the two girls and forbids them from entering Jesse's rehearsal room, so they have to come up with a plan to sneak in. The girls start fangirling over Jesse, something Maddie wasn't even doing in this episode until she heard him sing. As part of his rehearsal, Jesse performs his hit song, Beautiful Soul, and the girls start, well, yeah. Mosby checks in on McCartney after his rehearsal and asks him if everything went alright, and if there were any issues with screaming girls, to which McCartney responds with no, but does point out that there were a few screaming waiters. And that's when London and Maddie do the dash. Also, Maddie never actually took a pic of McCartney for her school newspaper. I guess she forgot. So later they try to sneak into his hotel room, unbeknownst to each other that they'd be doing it at the same time. When the handle of the bathroom door starts to jiggle, the girls quickly hide under his bed. When the maid walks out of the bathroom and leaves the hotel room, the girls begin to fight over Jesse's robe, which leads to it ripping. But then, Zack swoops in out of nowhere and grabs both pieces. Turns out he's been selling some of Jesse's stuff to girls on the street and making bank while doing it. You know, this episode has been so entertaining so far, I didn't even notice that Zack, one of the best characters in the series, wasn't really in it for the first 10 minutes. I realized I made a mistake while making the script. He was in it, he was literally in the first scene, but then he wasn't in anything after the intro. So I'm acknowledging the mistake now, before I go out of comments correcting me. I apologize. Truly. Trouble occurs when Mosby and Jesse are heard making their way back to Jesse's hotel room. Will Maddie and London make it out in time, or have they finally been caught? Find out when the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody returns from a brief commercial break.
Don't check out. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody will be back on Disney Channel. Sweet! We're back with the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
We're back from the commercial break, and it appears that the three managed to escape in time. Nope, just kidding. They snuck under Jesse's bed. Jesse enters his bathroom and finds out that there aren't any towels, so Mosby leaves to get some himself. While Jesse is in the bathroom, the three get out from under Jesse's bed and try to make an escape. Back at the hotel room, the trio go through some of the items stolen from Jesse's room. They realize that they need to return Jesse's bracelet back to him since he never performs without it, and might sing poorly as a result of its absence. So they come up with a plan to deliver it back to him, which involves sneaking back into his hotel room while he's taking a nap. Also, Maddie still hasn't taken a picture of him yet, but London actually does. Jesse rolls over in his sleep and pulls Maddie close to him. Zack and Maddie fall, and London opens the blinds, exposing the daylight to Jesse's room. This causes him to wake up and question what's going on. Maddie and London somehow manage to escape while Zack is left in the hotel room. The guards are about to carry him away until he mentions that his actions weren't nearly as bad as his two wacky friends' actions. Jesse stops Cigarette from pulling Zack away after he finds out that he was hanging with girls that were 3 years older than him. And the episode ends with the two blonde-haired fellows bonding over video games. London and Maddie start asking questions intended for Jesse through the door. Maddie wants to know his favorite color for her article, whereas London is just trying to convince Jesse into marrying her. And that concludes an extremely solid episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I like this episode a lot actually. I wasn't feeling the B plot just because of how detached it was from the main story, but everything about it was for the most part pretty solid. London, Maddie, and Zack were an underrated trio that I kinda wish we saw more of in the show. Jesse McCartney was good in this episode as well. Seems like a pretty solid dude, I guess. I definitely rank this episode higher than the Hannah Montana episode with a solid 8 out of 10. I do kind of wish we saw more of Zack and Cody together, and I feel like Maddie was written slightly out of character for this episode, but for a guest star episode, it did just about everything that it needed to do. Good job, Sweet Life writers. Now on to the next show. The Sweet Life on Deck episode When in Rome aired on the network on January 23rd, 2009. In case you were wondering, this is what the Billboard Top 100 looked like around this time, and Paul Blart Mall Cop was the #1 movie in theaters at this time, just to get you in the 2009 feels. Fun fact, this episode was directed by Richard Correll, who has worked on every other Disney series known to man except Zeke and Luther, which is insane. Come on, bruh. The episode starts with Mosby, Zack, Cody, Bailey, and London getting ready for their trip to Rome.
What are you doing?
Unwrapping. I have to go tinkle.
Okay, moving on, we're then hit with the theme song. I've never actually gotten the chance to talk about the theme song of this show like how I did the original one in my Disney Channel guest stars video. But this one is pretty good, very catchy. I feel like you could walk into a club filled with 20-something-year-olds and yell, "Oh," and 80% of them will respond back with, "This boat's rockin'." Or maybe only I would, I don't know. When London and Bailey arrive in Rome, they of course do a bunch of shopping, and Bailey obviously has to carry all of London's bags. Immediately, they get distracted by a teenager singing a song while playing the guitar. Fun fact, they literally stole this song from As the Bell Rings, a show that Disney used to air around this time that would only come on during commercial breaks.
About that.
Are you gonna be the girl in that dream when I close my eyes?
They just redid it in Italian, thinking nobody would notice. How dare they? London is falling head over heels for this dude who goes by the name of Luca. No Doncic. Every time they try to get close to each other though, Luca's uncle stops them because he wants him to practice his music instead of hanging around girls. So, Luca tells London that his uncle has disowned him and will not be funding his enrollment at Juilliard anymore. Because of this, London offers to pay instead, and he accepts. He's very appreciative and says he'll meet back up with her in an hour. But as it turns out, he and his uncle are actually just con men who trick people into giving them money, and Bailey overheard the whole thing. She tries to warn London, but London doesn't listen. Man, not gonna lie, I do not miss when Disney used to run these giant ads over their shows. They would stay on the screen for like 20 seconds sometimes, and it was so annoying. Anyway, London finds out the hard way that Luca doesn't actually care about her and runs off crying. Bailey meets up with him, and he explains that although it started off as a scam, he actually does have interest in London, but his uncle is forcing him to keep up the charade. So, they come up with a plan to get the money back that involves Bailey dressing up as Justina Valentine from Wild 'N Out and Mr. Mosby dressing up as Soulja Boy. They pretend to be musical artists, with Mosby obviously pretending to be a rapper.
Bang, bang, on my neighbor's door. Can I borrow some sugar? Gonna make it to the store. Having a dinner party, gonna have baked Alaska. I really hope it don't turn into a fiasco.
Okay, so basically they trick the uncle into giving Mosby the $20,000 back by saying that he'll need that money to sign him to his record label and to pay for studio time and stuff. Things go well, but then London catches them, but they still get the money back, everybody hugs it out, and we never hear from or see Luca again. Bye Luca. Believe it or not, that was the A plot. The whole dinner reservation stuff is actually the B plot, which makes the whole 2023 thing being the main focus of the episode even funnier. But yeah, in case you were wondering, that's what London and Bailey are up to during this episode. Okay, now for the real event and the moment you've all been waiting for. While all that other stuff is going down, Zack and Cody arrive at what Cody describes as the best restaurant in all of Italy. They head inside and ask for a reservation and... Well, I don't think I really need to describe what happens next. I kind of already played it in the intro. Cody questions the 15-year-long wait, but Chef Gigi just dismisses them in favor of the next reservation, which just so happens to be held by Mr. Mosby.
Please, Mr. Mosby, from one gastronome to another. Don't call him a gnome. We're trying to get on his good side.
Zack is by far the funniest character on the show. Mosby eventually caves in and lets the twins share a chair. They start causing a ruckus though, and Chef Gigi tells them to get out, Mosby included. You know what's funny? A lot of the hype around this episode has been generated by, a lack of understanding of it. And I really don't blame people because they probably haven't seen this episode in years. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but they never actually agreed on the reservation. So like, I know people have been saying, oh, someone should tell Zack and Cody that their table is ready, but like, there is no table waiting for them since they never actually got put on the reservation list. Which kind of makes this video a little pointless, but oh well. The next day, the twins go back to the restaurant to try to find some food in the dumpster, which honestly feels a bit out of character for Cody since he's a neat freak. They witness two chefs getting fired, so Cody steps in to offer his assistance, and Gigi agrees to let him help. And Zack too, for some reason. When they start working, Cody asks if they'll get to eat anything, and Gigi says that the workers who aren't fired get to join her for a meal at the end of the shift. This might sound weird, but I would love to eat a meal with her.
I felt that
Like I'm not trying to say anything crazy around but wouldn't you want to know her life story over some tortellini or something? That would be sick. Tell me I'm not crazy, bro. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Things are going pretty well at first, but when Cody notices that the restaurant has earned its 5th star, he gets a bit excited and touches it, causing it to fall in the tomato sauce.
It's like she's back down to 4 stars. Not that I'm surprised with the careless kitchen staff.
Best character on the show. Cody reaches in to grab it and asks Zack for a boost, but when he hears Gigi coming, he accidentally tosses Cody into the sauce. Zack lies, saying that he added something into it, although technically I guess it wasn't a lie since he added Cody into it, so.
I have tomato in places tomato should never be.
I find myself quoting this line a lot more than I probably should, not gonna lie. Zack helps Cody up but drops him again, this time causing ingredients to fall all over Cody. Rightfully so, Cody gets fired. However, despite being involved in what happened, the final scene reveals that Zack actually ends up staying around to have dinner with Gigi. Cody repeats his actions from earlier and begs to be let in through the window, but then Zack shuts the blinds. And that wraps up the episode.
What's up? I'm Kyle Massey.
Nah, Kyle Massey jump scare. Nah, we good, bro. We don't need, we're good. Thank you.
Don't move. The Sweet Life on Deck will be right back on Disney Channel. Let's sail on back to the Sweet Life on Deck on Disney Channel.
So, final thoughts on this episode? Well, I gotta say, it is a really good one. You know, usually it's Zack that messes things up for Cody, but for once this time around, Zack was the unproblematic one. Everything that happened to Cody happened to him because of him, and that was a nice change of pace. Honestly, I'm glad that I still like this episode because this would have been a very different video if I did not like it. And I've made so many negative videos recently that I wanted to at least have one video where I praise something. And I low-key did not expect it to be this one, but I'm all here for it. It's a good episode for real, one of the best from On Deck. Yeah, this was before they started doing crazy stuff on the show, like robots going crazy or Star Trek parodies. Or episodes with Dwight Howard. But yeah, I give this episode a solid 8 out of 10. Clearly, the show was still in its prime during this episode. In January 2011, Sweet Life had a 3-part story arc in its final season called Twister, an event that I remember being teased very heavily and one that I most definitely watched live. And while I won't be covering the entire arc, I did however want to highlight the first of the 3 parts because it ties in directly to the theme of this video. To give some context to this episode, it takes place immediately after the episode The play's The Thing, in which Cody puts on a play mocking his breakup with Bailey while painting her in a super negative light, even though I'm pretty sure it was his fault. I don't really remember. So Cody and Bailey are still clearly broken up, and this ties into this episode. Ironically, I think most of the guest star stuff happened in what is technically the B plot, but just to get this out of the way, the A plot centers around Bailey wanting to go home to Kettle Corn for her grandmother's birthday, but her parents are broke and can't afford a plane ticket for her. London, who's getting annoyed at Bailey anyway, suggests that she takes her in her blimp since she's headed to Manhattan and could just drop her off. But when an accident with darts causes London's blimp to crash land, they're now forced to drive the rest of the way. This plot is genuinely horrible, by the way, and I refuse to cover it for the rest of the video. But what does matter is the B plot. Mosby spots Woody and Zack playing basketball and joins the conversation. The boys question what Mosby knows about basketball, and he says that he used to teach his little brother's basketball team. Matter of fact, he says that his brother and two of his friends will be arriving later today, and he bets that they would be able to beat Zack, Woody, and whoever they get as their third. Zack is confident in his abilities, so he tells Mosby that the bet is on. If his team wins, he gets to go on a free dinner in the boat with his girlfriend Maya, who's currently away on a trip. If Mosby's team wins though, Zack and Woody have to clean the entire Fiesta deck with their toothbrushes. That's nasty. But Zack agrees to those terms, since he's assuming that Mosby's little brother is a scrub. In short, since every other ball player on the deck is away, Zack enlists Cody to help him out, which surely will go well. A little later, Mosby meets up with the boys and Zack starts mocking his little brother and his friends.
Are they gonna wear their light up sneakers? Ooh. Actually, those are pretty cool.
And when Zack keeps going, a large figure emerges from behind him. And it gets revealed that that large figure is none other than Orlando Magic All-Star center Dwight Howard. And man, did this guy mean a lot to me as a kid. For those unaware, which shouldn't be any of you because I've made way too many NBA references on this channel, I am a huge basketball fan. It is literally the only sport I watch, the only sport I play, and the only sport that I know anything about. None of y'all want to smoke. I will cross you up so bad you will need ankle surgery. That is a fact. Although I've been a Thunder fan for years, growing up I was actually a Magic fan, and Dwight was one of the main reasons why. It was like him and those random couple of years where Glenn Davis was on the team. They called Dwight Superman because he basically was a real life superhero. He had the body of a Bruce Timm DC character and could literally, but not actually, fly. So when I found out that Dwight would be on Sweet Life, which was my favorite Disney show at the time, I definitely knew I had to watch the episode, and I did. I saw this one live, man. But anyway, as it turns out, Dwight Howard is Mr. Mosby's half sibling. And no, that isn't a high joke. They have the same mom, but different dads. It's kind of funny how Mosby has two brothers, and they're both complete opposites. As it turns out, Dwight's so-called little friends just so happened to be, at the time, All-Stars Kevin Love from the Timberwolves and Darren Williams from the Jazz. Kevin Love was one of the best young prospects in the league at the time, being drafted only a couple years before this episode was filmed, and Darren Williams one of the best guards in the league until he got injured. But to me, I'll always be thankful for him being part of one of the best YouTube videos of all time. I'm from Dallas. I eat Rudy's. Alright. Going into the episode again, the writers tried their best to give these non-actors quirky lines to help add to their character, and I guess disguise their horrible acting, or at least make it more bearable. For instance, they added in these random throwaway lines about how Darren likes puppies, which is something, for whatever reason, they chose to keep making jokes about. And Kevin Love, well...
Fifth pick in the 2008 NBA draft.
That's right. And I also got a free hat.
Just a little quirky throwaway line because this is the Disney Channel after all. Later on, they set out all the ground rules for the game and the battle commences. And as you'd expect, it looks like 3 all-star NBA players in their prime going against 3 high school students. They're just getting straight violated. It looks like what the Pacers did to the Knicks in Game 4 of this year's playoffs. Don't come at me, Knicks fans. It's just a joke. Relax. I like Jalen Brunson. I like Kyle Quinn too. Do y'all remember Kyle Quinn? He was cool. I mean, he wasn't good, but he had a great smile.
Check ball.
Clean.
This is actually an extremely clever joke, and I don't think you get it if you don't play basketball. The boys continue to get dominated by the All-Stars, but when Dwight gets sick of his brother bossing him and the other guys around and hears about what he's making the boys do if they lose the game, Dwight and them decide to throw the game so the boys can win and get their free meal. With this new plan in motion, the boys go on a run and successfully bring the game within striking distance. Seeing his team get pummeled and knowing his legacy is on the line here, Mosby decides to suit up and play for the team, with Dwight subbing out.
It's time to bring in the real stopper, Marion the Wall Mosby.
Mr. Mosby is one of the greatest Disney characters of all time, bro. What a legend. Even though he put on quite an interesting defensive approach, Zack easily scores on him, which gives the squad the W. What is this dance by Cody, bruh? Zack thanks Dwight and the guys for helping out, and the trio head off to continue their vacation. Mosby hands Zack the coupon for the free dinner, but finds out that it expires that same night, meaning Zack won't be able to take Maya on the date. Seeing the opportunity in front of him, Woody quickly volunteers to eat with Zack, and Zack reluctantly agrees. Oh wait, the NBA guys are still here, never mind. Dwight gives Cody some advice about his girl situation by saying the best thing to do might just be to call her. So he does. But when a tornado starts to break loose in Kettle Corn, the only thing Bailey can say to Cody over the phone is,
Help! Help!
Bailey? Are you there? Hello? Bailey? Bailey?
I'm sorry, I know this is supposed to be somewhat serious. It made me laugh. Yeah, so this episode ends on a cliffhanger, and the one that is supposed to follow up on this actually premiered the day after this one, so it wasn't a long wait at all. They even do a little teaser showcasing what's next to come from the storyline by using clips of the next episode. Yo, it's Zeke from Zeke and Luther. What's up, bro? Nah, but seriously though, despite the fact that this episode came during what many would consider to be the dark days of Sweet Life, it is actually pretty solid. At least when you skip over the London and Bailey subplot, where it's obvious the writers had no idea how to keep them in the episode, so they just kept doing a bunch of random stuff to fill in the time. As a Sweet Life fan, I was pleased by the quality of this episode. It's not really one of On Deck's best episodes, but it is, however, still a solid watch, especially if you're a basketball fan like myself. I mean, seeing these three guys was definitely a treat for me, both now and back then. They can't act, of course, that's not what they get paid to do, but the roles were still utilized pretty well. It's not as good as the Hannah episode, just because it didn't have that same level of charisma and wholesomeness, but I think it lands at a solid 7. And considering what other episodes we get this season, that's pretty good. On to the next show. The Sweet Life series is notable for being the anchor of two major Disney Channel crossover events. The first one was extremely vital thanks to it being the start of the ever-growing shared Disney Channel universe, which, believe it or not, has still been going thanks to the Waverly Place revival. I think with both shows taking place in spots people will commonly travel to while embarking on trips, made it the ideal hub, if you want to call it that, for all sorts of crossovers without having to do any crazy writing gymnastics to make everything work. They'd even take advantage of this again years later when Mr. Mosby appeared on Jesse. It just makes the most sense. In 2006, Disney released That's So Sweet Life with Hannah Montana, a crossover special of 3 of their biggest shows at the time that were all made by the same production studio. It's a laugh. Obviously, this event was a ratings hit, so once Disney had another hit show under their belt with Wizards of Waverly Place, they decided to run it back and do it again. However, the one thing that I never realized as a kid was that both events were actually 3-part specials. I was only really regularly watching Sweet Life back then, and I guess it just never clicked with me that there were other episodes, even though it made sense when you watch them. But regardless, although I wouldn't have gone wrong with covering either of these specials, there is a little more potentially spicy drama involved with the Waverly Place one that ultimately led to me choosing it. So let's revisit the episode and get into it. Today I'll be covering only the Sweet Life episode since it's the only one that was kind of a full-on crossover with all 3 shows. But for the sake of getting the bigger picture of the event, I'll briefly cover what happened in the Wizards episode that sets this one up. Basically, Justin wins an essay contest where the winner gets to go on a cruise aboard the SS Tipton and meet London Tipton herself, which is very funny because I feel like no one who is submitting to the contest genuinely cares about London Tipton like that, aside from the fact that they might just find her pretty. It's just funny because you'd think they'd win some sort of scholarship to somewhere, or perhaps even go to nerd camp or something, but nope, you get to meet London Tipton, someone who probably thinks essay is spelled, well, S-A. Thing is though, Alex is super behind on her schoolwork, so she is not allowed to actually stay on the cruise. But once she finds out that there's a school on board, she tries to convince her dad and mom that she will take advantage of that provision and truly lock in on her schoolwork. But as you can guess, she, doesn't. She ends up spending time with Harper, who she transported to the ship. Meanwhile, Zack and Max spend time together because, of course they do. And as you could expect, London is not feeling Justin at all. This then leads us into the Sweet Life on Deck episode, Starcross, part of the show's first season. The episode centers around the highly anticipated arrival of Hannah Montana, who was boarding the boat as part of the whole Hawaii teen cruise thing, which was a plot point of the Wizards episode. She will also be performing there. Cody boasts, though, that thanks to their encounter that they had a few years ago at the Tipton, referencing the time where she ate cake off of Zack's shirt, he might be able to score some tickets. Zack comes across Alex for the first time and introduces himself and tries to use the fact that they both have brothers that seemingly don't believe in their vocational futures as a way to bond, but she's clearly not interested in him. I bet Woody would have a shot. He kind of look like Benny Blanco. I mean, not anymore, but... Meanwhile, since things didn't work out for Justin, Max tries to put the moves on London himself. Honestly, they're 2 for 2 when it comes to Max pairing so far. First, he spends his time with London, then he tries hanging with Zack. I'm glad the writers saw what everyone else saw. That's why they get paid the big bucks. I guess. I don't really know how much Disney Channel writers get paid. Alex is tired of Justin being Justin, so she decides to put some things that she's learned from her science class to work, and dyes the hot tub blue, causing Justin to look like he came straight out of the Avatar universe. Mosby is apologetic over this, but mainly because he's under the impression that it's Zack that did this, whereas Justin knows for sure this is the work of Alex. Coincidentally, when Alex is on the run from both Mosby and Justin, she starts banging on a student cabin's door, which ends up being Zack's.
Hi! Zack, is this your cabin? Let's check it out.
Thank you.
On Deck was never as funny as the original show, but every now and then, the show really did have some really good jokes. Alex is appalled by Zack's room, but they don't have much time to talk about it before Mosby finds the blue dye outside of Zack's cabin, making him naturally put 2 and 2 together in a little bad weather. He knocks on the door, so Alex naturally hides, but not before spotting a half-eaten sandwich that's been there for who knows how long. You know, I used to think stuff like that was always an exaggeration until I remembered that I actually went to a friend's house once and there was legitimately a slice of pizza just on the carpet floor. Face down, too. Needless to say, I am no longer friends with this dude. I heard he got married a year back somehow, so either he's already divorced thanks to his messy nature, or his wife is just as messy. Mosby comes in and accuses Zack for putting blue dye in the hot tub, and after thinking about everything else he has put into the hot tub since he's been on deck, he denies ever doing that. Mosby isn't trying to hear it though, as he tells Zack that he will be forced to stay in his cabin for the foreseeable future.
But that's not...
Your butt is confined to this cabin. You'll have to entertain yourself with whatever's in this room.
I think I can make that work.
Top 5 joke the show has ever had, right up there with Let's Shoot for 40 and For Paris is Full of Men, and I plan on shaking my bonbons for each and every one of them. Meanwhile, Cody is still on his quest to get tickets for the Hannah Montana concert. After multiple attempts, he gets bummed out and considers giving up. But after Bailey, who if you remember at this moment is who he has a crush on, refers to Cody as her guy, he decides to lock in even harder to get them. Which becomes even easier when a voice over the PA system says that there will be a teen cruise scavenger hunt where the winner receives tickets.
Did you hear that? Darn right I did. I want a robot that makes pancakes.
The Sweet Life on Deck will be right back, part of Disney Channel's Summer of Stars. We're back with The Sweet Life on Deck, part of Disney Channel's Summer of Stars.
After the commercial break, we see that Woody and Cody are putting in work to win the scavenger hunt. They've managed to get a few of the items needed and are now only missing a silver chalice. Cody starts making his way over to it, but unfortunately for him, gets tackled by his brother, who believes that he is the one that framed him for the whole pool thing. After clearing up this misunderstanding, it's revealed that someone else has won the scavenger hunt, making Cody storm off in tears. But if anyone got anything out of this event, it's Zack, who manages to get his name cleared after Mosby and Justin confront Alex about the prank. Zack is able to tell that she was lying, thanks to him lying all the time. Mosby tries to sneak away without owning up to his mistake, but Zack doesn't let him. So Mosby apologizes to Zack for the accusation, but at the same time mentions that he still confessed to a bunch of other crimes he committed, so he still isn't completely off the hook. Zack doesn't really care though, he was just glad to get an apology out of Mosby. Later, Cody accompanies Bailey as she's taking a look at Hawaii.
Cody, isn't Hawaii the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
Second most beautiful.
No. Oh my goodness, Valentine! No. Whoa, no! That is not the shot.
He really thought that would work. Might as well have said, You're my best view. Cody confesses that he doesn't really have the tickets, and instead of being bad, which is what he thought would happen, Bailey hugs him and thanks him for the attempt, especially since no one's ever gone through so much trouble for her. Later though, after Mosby causes a ruckus to clear the area for Hannah and Lola, Cody gets cake mushed all over his shirt. But more importantly, he has another encounter with Hannah, one that finally leads to his goal of the episode being accomplished. Hannah gives both of them tickets and even says that now she remembers the encounter with the cake. Even more importantly than that though, Bailey tells Cody that this is going to be the best date ever, confirming that the concert is going to be one. An excited Cody walks out of frame to yell out that his 6-month plan worked. And it's then when I remembered that this was actually On Deck's season finale. Since the beginning of season 1, Cody has had a 6-month plan to make Bailey his girlfriend. And although this date doesn't necessarily mean that they're a full-on couple now, it's definitely a huge step in the right direction. Now, although this is the end of the episode, it's not the end of the story, as the Hannah Montana episode is what truly wraps everything up. And basically, with it only being focused on Sweet Life and Hannah Montana this time, the episode is about Hannah losing her lucky anklet that her mom gave her before her first ever concert. Basically, all of the main Sweet Life characters make an appearance in some way or another, though it is mostly Hannah Montana centered episode with appearances from her dad, plus Oliver and Jackson who have their own little B-plot. Eventually, after London accidentally drops it in the ocean, Miley learns that she doesn't need to rely on her anklet to put on a good performance, especially since she will always have her mom in her heart. So the episode ends with her performing, with footage being shown that is more likely than not taken from a real Hannah Montana concert, serving as a good way to show Miley's growth and acceptance with her mother's death. Now overall, going back to the main episode, I think it's actually really solid, and a lot of that comes to how well balanced it is. I wish I could say the same for the other one we got 3 years ago. That episode was mainly just a Raven and Zack and Cody episode featuring Hannah Montana in the last couple of minutes. And although we do get to see the characters from these shows interact with each other, it's hardly really a crossover of all 3 shows. This episode though feels a lot more like a crossover, though it still isn't perfect. I do love the fact that characters from all 3 shows are all in it for its entirety. Zack, Mosby, and London are all dealing with the Wizards characters, while Cody, Bailey, and Woody are in the Hannah subplot. That's a lot of characters to write for in just 22 minutes, but somehow they managed to do it in a way where nothing felt too crowded. Every story had its own proper time to breathe, and even when the 2 plots did cross over with each other, like when Zack stopped Cody from getting the Silver Chalice, it felt natural and was important for both stories. It set up Cody getting the tickets for Hannah and Alex getting busted, thus clearing Zack's name. I also loved every single pairing that they did in this episode. I wouldn't have changed a thing. The biggest thing surrounding this episode though, something that's always been a topic of conversation, and the one thing that holds this episode from truly being peak, is of course the fact that it wasn't truly a crossover with all 3 shows in the sense that everyone interacted. Miley and Selena were never actually in the same place, so as a result, many people now complain about that. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing, especially considering how big both of those shows were, and the actors themselves. I remember I theorized in the past that the reason why this happened was because of some beef that happened between the 2 stars involving the fact that they both dated Nick Jonas. I've spoken about this beef on my channel before. I even did it in my last video, so feel free to check that out. I don't feel like covering it again, but yeah, apparently as confirmed by Jennifer Stone, who played Harper, this was basically the reason. And you know, I don't really have anything to say about it. They were teenagers, and although it's unfortunate that this led to them not sharing any screen time in the episode, it's not that big of a deal. This is truly one of Disney's best crossovers. Might actually be number 1, to be honest. Very few notes. Now on to the next one. Most TV shows have a few episodes that, years, perhaps even decades after its airing, still get talked about today as one of the finest moments the show has had. Sometimes it's because of the ripple effect it sends throughout the entire series, meaning the episode, or even just one moment from it, changes the entire trajectory of the show. Other times it could be due to how ambitious it is, with the writers coming up with an idea so grand and out of the ordinary, it would be hard not to remember it. Then there are the episodes that are just downright funny and quotable, and continue to make rounds in social media today. Zack and Cody, lasting about 6 years on the Disney Channel, spread across 2 shows, naturally has an episode that fits just about all these categories and more. And although there are plenty of episodes that have ended up being huge game changers like Breakup in Paris, or episodes that have kind of become synonymous with the series like Commercial Breaks, I truly do not think there is a better written or overall funnier episode of the show than 7 Seas News, a season 2 episode from the franchise's second series, On Deck. Now, don't get it twisted, Sweet Life has had a lot of great episodes, but to be honest, 7 Seas News is not only the episode that I personally always go to when I think about the peak of the show, but also the episode, at least of On Deck, that seems to be quoted the most. I mean, way to go guys, Let's Shoot for 40 alone has been going platinum on Instagram for some time now. And it was actually because of that made me decide to sit down and talk about it for a video. So sit back, relax, and go get yourself a sandwich, because I, Mr. Nostalgia, am about to talk about the greatest Sweet Life episode of all time. 7 Seas News premiered on Disney Channel on May 7th, 2010. In case anyone was wondering, to put in perspective what the vibe was like around this time, Nothing on You was the #1 song in America, and Iron Man 2 was the #1 movie in the world. But the Lakers were also fresh off of beating the OKC Thunder in the first round. How the turntables. So basically, the episode is centered around the main cast of characters who have been selected to be a part of a news show that'll air on the cruise ship's TV station, appropriately titled 7 Seas News. They share this information to Kirby, the greatest security guard of all time by the way, who informs them that he too used to have a show that aired on the ship's TV station called Boat Cops, a show about him busting people who were committing crimes on deck that ironically got canceled due to his camera getting stolen. Kirby was the GOAT, bruh. It's hard to believe this dude only appeared in like 10 episodes of the show. His presence made it feel like he was in it for a lot more. That's how you know the writers and the actor himself did a great job at creating him. I was devastated when I found out he died, man. The kids go to Miss Tutwiler, their teacher in charge of this project, thanks to her history as a weather girl, to ask about their respective roles in this new show. Can we talk about how crazy it is, though, that the teachers in the show also had to live on the boat as well, with the same kids that they have to teach all day, leading to moments like this where they end up socializing? If I was a teacher, I would have hated this.
Hey, Mr. Nostalgia, it's me, Jimmy from school.
Anyway, Woody is the cameraman, London is a meteorologist, Cody is a field reporter, with Bailey and Zack being co-anchors. This is when the episode starts to really pick up though, as nearly every joke from this point on really lands. A bulk of the episode focuses on the banter of Zack and Bailey, with both of them having very different approaches for handling news. Bailey is the one that wants to take things seriously, focusing more on actual facts than anything else. Zack, however, is only taking his look seriously, as the only thing he really cares about reporting are pretty trivial matters.
Our first story today, we turn to Shuffleboard, where Mrs. Peppermint set a personal best by only stopping to go to the bathroom 4 times. Way to go, Mrs. P. Or should I say, Mrs. PP.
But not only that, he's using this as an opportunity to absorb all the spotlight for himself, never letting Bailey have her time to shine as well. This unseriousness would later continue when he turns things over to Cody, who delivers a news report on a topic that, although he finds to be interesting, freaks out everyone else.
I analyzed a water sample I took from the hot tub and found it teeming with bacteria.
And then London on the weather goes just about as well as you'd expect. As disastrous as all this sounds though, everyone on the boat seems to be eating it up, mostly because people view it as one of those fake news shows that are only made for entertaining. Like, First Take, kinda. No one actually expects real quality out of that show. Like, Victor Wembanyama can drop 1,000,000 points in a game, but they still only talk about who's the GOAT, LeBron versus MJ, you know what I mean? Thanks to Zack having the most lines though, he's the only one that really gets attention. Bailey, who had the same amount of screen time as him, struggles to find anyone to even recognize her.
How come no one wants me to sign anything?
Here's the check.
Bailey can't catch a break, bruh. Even her own boyfriend starts jumping her now. Doesn't help that Cody never once defends her either, when Zack calls her face a frying pan. Dude is low-key a horrible boyfriend. Not even low-key now that I think about it. He stay acting crazy. Tutwiler comes in claiming that the ratings for 7 Seas News was through the roof, even beating a Boat Cops. Kirby takes that a little personally though and says that it's not a big deal. After all, his show got an action figure. Yeah, I'm with him on that one actually. I'd love an action figure or even a plush of myself. Makeshift, let's work baby, it's time. Y'all denied me a little while back, but we at 100K now. Things have changed, we up. During the next broadcast, Zack starts asking the real questions.
Limbo contest controversy. If a little person wins, is it cheating or a win with an asterisk? And that's coming right up after these short messages.
But more importantly, Cody comes in with some breaking news, claiming that the ship is missing a passenger.
Oh, I hope it's Bailey.
Yo, Bailey is hearing it from everyone this episode. What did she do to y'all? Are y'all still mad about her trying to pass herself off as a dude like from the first episode? Cody has a kinda anonymous source that is able to back up his scoop. Keyword being Kinda. Cody asks if Totally Not Kirby is able to ascertain who the missing person is. And although he says he hasn't so far, he does say that he's committed to working on the case until he does. After he's done eating a sandwich, at least. Off camera, they're able to figure out that one of the cabins is signed out to someone who goes by the name Richard Gold. With Woody behind the camera and Kirby by his side, Cody prepares to investigate the cabin.
Has Kirby given any indication of how he plans on knocking? Will he use his knuckles, or will he use some sort of knocking stick?
Knocking stick? There's no such thing.
Yo, who was behind this episode that wanted to bring in such Looney Tunes-like humor? The rest of the show is not written like this. This type of joke more so fits something like A Pair of Kings or Ant Farm, shows with zanier types of humor. No one answered the door, so Cody, Kirby, and Woody go in themselves, with Woody keeping the entire thing documented. And nothing could have possibly prepared them for what they'd find inside.
Cody, are you okay?
What's happening?
Severed arm!
On top of everything else, the three notice that inside the cabin is nothing but mannequins and women's clothing.
Well, we certainly are learning a lot about Richard Gold.
To take even a further turn, London eventually comes skipping into the cabin and starts looking at the clothes inside. I would say it's crazy that she didn't even question the fact that the cabin was open, but then again, it is London, so. As it turns out, a Richard Gold, or Rich Gold, isn't a missing person. He's not much of a person at all, actually. London just decided to register a cabin underneath a fake name to store her extra clothes. Cody tries his best to find some sort of underlying or hidden meaning behind all of this to keep the story going, but Zack hits him with a "please wrap it up." Actually, he's not even that nice about it. He basically just tells him he's done. He then turns to Bailey and delivers another crude remark about her, this time comparing her outfit to a mailman. Man, I don't think she looked like a man. Never mind. But rightfully so, Zack finally gets what he's deserved throughout this entire episode. But Bailey's had enough of his behavior and decides to get her lick back.
Hey. Oops, forgot the stamp.
That's not it though, bruh. Bailey decides to take it a step further and points out the running mascara on his face, sending Zack out of the room looking crazy on live TV. Tutwiler tries to take over as meteorologist since London isn't around, but ends up... You know, I really did want to make an under the weather joke, but the show kind of already does, so oh well. All right, Bailey, take us home.
And clear. Great show, Bailey.
The episode wraps up in a pretty funny way. Although 7 Seas News has been unfortunately canned, the death of the show has led to the birth of another. Or should I say, the rebirth of another. That's right. Boat Cops is back, baby. Let's go. Big boy, coming after you, want my sandwiches, girl, big boy. 7 Seas News was always me and my brother's favorite episode of Sweet Life on Deck. Even to this day, we'll occasionally talk about just how funny it is, especially compared to the rest of the show. On Deck isn't bad or anything, definitely not as good as the first show, but all the other episodes just are not as funny as this one. The funny thing is, this episode is written by Pamela Eels, who is one of the main producers and writers of the series. So it's not like they had Chris Rock come in and ghostwrite this episode or anything. She does, however, have writing credits for shows like Family Matters, which for a while was one of the best sitcoms on TV. IMDb even mentioned that she stopped writing the show after season 2, which means she was pretty much right there for most of the show's glory days, before they started going back in time to fight pirates and cloning people. I really don't like talking about those episodes. Pamela was really in her bag with this one though. From top to bottom, it's just a laugh out loud hilarious episode with zingers and one-liners left and right, most of which land. I think part of the reason why this episode is as good as it is because it doesn't feel crowded. Some episodes of shows like this, because of the fact that they have a certain amount of characters that need to appear in each episode, might have one main solid plot, but then have to come up with other ways to keep the characters involved. This episode, though, if you notice, didn't have Mosby or Marcus Little, who was a regular around this time. Because of this, really only the characters that needed to be in this episode were in it, and all of them were used appropriately, being put in situations that truly let their personalities and attributes shine. No, it really was all killer and no filler, and that's where the Sum 41. Episodes like this and just about every sitcom really are rare, so I think that's part of the reason why this episode is better than nearly every other episode of this show. I also think what helps with this episode is that although a lot of jokes are pretty mean-spirited, it still feels kind of natural. We're 2 seasons into these characters all knowing each other, so Zack, and even to a lesser extent Cody, being mean to Bailey comes across more so as that just being their dynamic, as opposed to straight up unwarranted bullying. Don't get me wrong, some of it was still a little over the top, but that's why the episode ended the way it did. The episode never tried to say Zack was in the right for the stuff he said, and he obviously didn't get away with it. But, since we're on the topic, man did he have some good one-liners in here.
Our first story today.
And I'm Bailey Pickett, the other anchor person.
Oh, okay, baby gets her bottle. Well, unless they're cute bacteria in bikinis, we're not interested. Keep your head above water. Unless you're a tuna fish, then you'll die.
Unless you're a tuna fish?
That's my catchphrase. Come up with your own.
You're an idiot.
Sorry, that's Cody's catchphrase. We find out as we go
Live to our field reporter, Cody
Martin.
I hate
you.
Then even outside of Zack and his behavior towards Bailey, we still received plenty of funny jokes. This episode rarely missed.
Over. It was Tyler! Your pants are all wrinkly! Those are her legs?
Uh-oh, there's cooties in the hot tub.
It was supposed to be a serious news broadcast.
Oh, come on, man, you're killing me.
7 Seas News remains to be arguably the sharpest written episode of the entire franchise. I'm not sure why they chose this episode to go all out, but I'm not mad at it. We got something really good out of it, and clearly people to this day are still talking about it, so it all worked out in the end. Debuting in 2005, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody followed a set of twins in their adventures in the hotel that they lived in thanks to their mom being a singer there. The series was a massive hit with kids thanks to its hilarious episodes and memorable characters. So much so that it had a sequel series after the show finished its 3-season run entitled The Sweet Life on Deck. By then, Cole and Dylan Sprouse were proving to be not just one of the most recognizable faces on Disney Channel, but some of the biggest child TV stars on the planet. Merchandise, video games, Danimals, more video games, more Danimals. Those kids were truly everywhere. But of course, all good things must come to an end. In October 2009, Disney announced that The Sweet Life on Deck would be returning for a 3rd season, which ultimately ended up being their last. And to no surprise, they wanted to go out with a bang. So to help wrap up the franchise and further cement it as one of Disney's best, they decided to do the only thing they hadn't done up until that point. Give them their own Disney Channel original movie. And instead of cementing the legacy of their franchise, it ended up being, in my opinion, their biggest failure. But before we jump into why, I think it's important to do a little recap of some of the important events that have happened in the series that set up the plot for the movie. Sweet Life movie takes place during season 3, somewhere in between the episodes Prom Night, the one where the kids try to murder Mr. Mosby for a senior prank and get mad at him for punishing them for it, and Graduation on Deck, the series finale. But there's still some pretty important details that happen earlier in the season that need to be addressed. In the season 2 finale, Cody and Bailey break up while in Paris over something stupid, I don't know, and the effects are felt in the first few episodes of the next season. Most of the first 18 episodes of season 3 all use Cody and Bailey breaking up as some sort of subplot, and it's pretty painful to watch. There's an episode where Cody puts on a play where he basically mocks Bailey in front of the entire audience, and although the scene is honestly hilarious in its own sick, twisted way, it's objectively a really scummy thing to do.
I can't believe you hate me so much that you killed me off.
But of course, somehow Bailey forgives Cody, and they end up getting back together. Another notable thing that happens in season 3 is the departure of main character Marcus Little, played by Doc Shaw. Something about becoming a pair of kings with Oliver from Hannah Montana, I don't know. So he's not in this movie, in case anyone was wondering where he was. Zack started dating a girl named Maya, who also is in this movie, but I thought I'd mention it anyway because I will bring it up again later into the video. Let's see, is that it? Evil Robot Girlfriend, Sean Kingston, Dwight Howard, Wizard of Oz parody? No, yeah, we're good. Alright, let's finally get into how the Sweet Life movie ruins the legacy of Zack and Cody. When the movie starts, we're greeted with a very Cody-centric opening scene. You ever have one of those moments where you think you don't remember something from a film or a show, and then one specific scene happens and your memories immediately get restored back to you? Yeah, that's what happened to me in this scene. Specifically the song that they used for it. I probably can't play it due to copyright, and I'm not gonna sing it due to me not being able to sing, but the lyrics immediately came into my head as soon as it started, despite me not having seen the movie in 11 years when it first came out. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of bangs too. I'm not gonna. He finishes signing a letter addressed to his girlfriend Bailey and makes his way through the ship as we see new parts of the boat that we have never seen before up until this point. As he begins to set up his romantic date, he hears a call from above, and we are now introduced to Zack and Woody. As brought up by Woody in forceful exposition dialogue, Cody has planned all this fancy stuff because he is going to tell Bailey that he plans on spending spring break at an internship and not with her. But instead of just letting her know, he decided to plan all this and write it down in a letter because he thinks that's the easiest way to do it. Zack tells Cody that he has an idea that would solve his situation. He proposes that he be the one that tells Bailey so Cody doesn't have to be anywhere near her. And in return, Cody gives Zack his car. Now, you might be wondering, what car could Zack possibly be speaking about? We never see Cody drive a car in the TV show. And well, Cody explains that mom and dad promised to get him a sports car for when he gets into college. I am emphasizing this because, spoiler alert, the last episode of On Deck shows that Cody never actually gets into college, at least not into Yale. This, however, wouldn't really be an issue since the movie takes place before the graduation episode, so you could just assume that Cody never gets the car, at least not for a long time. But where the issue actually does present itself is that we actually see the car at the end of the movie, a good 2 to 3 months before his graduation, when he finds out if he gets into college or not. So why did his parents send him a car that was supposed to be for when he gets into college before he finds out if he got into college or not? You could make the argument that because of how genius Cody is, that they just automatically knew for sure that he'd get in. But even then, why would they send it at the end of spring break if it's for his graduation? Look, I don't know. This whole thing just makes it seem like an entirely different crew were in charge of this movie and had no intention of tying it into the TV show. The script for this movie and the finale were probably written around the same time, considering how close they aired together, but with completely different staffs that were barely aware of what was taking place in both the show and the movie. Michael Saltzman, who has never ever been involved in a Sweet Life product, wrote the script, and Sean McNamara, who also has never been involved in a Sweet Life product, directed the film. And it's so disappointing too because Sean wrote my second favorite episode of Zeke and Luther. Come on, Sean, what are you doing? Anyway, Zack and Cody argue over the letter, which leads to it floating off into sea. Or so I thought, until it landed somewhere else on the outside of the boat. Later, Cody and Bailey are seen talking, with Cody trying to build up the courage to tell Bailey what's going on, until Zack comes in and tells Bailey himself, which is something that doesn't please Cody.
Thanks. Hey, Woody! Catch! Not very nice.
Ooh, sandwich! Wow! Sorry!
We're now introduced to the internship slash lab slash science research facility thing that Cody was talking about spending a spring break at. We're also introduced to Mr. Mosby, who doesn't really do much in this movie, and honestly I'm kind of glad. At least then his character can't get ruined like everyone else's did. Also, London appears and she has an argument with Mosby about why dolphins can't be mammals because they don't have humps. Yeah, she's the dumb one. Before the scene cuts away, we see London eat some dolphin food, which is something I'm only mentioning because it's actually really important. Cody, Mosby, and for whatever reason Zack enter the facility where they are introduced to head honcho of the lab, Donald Spaulding. They get a tour of the entire area, but not before Zack ends up leaving Cody and Mosby out of boredom. Suddenly though, his interest is piqued by a girl that he's attracted to, which is something that doesn't really make any sense and makes me wonder if this movie is even canon to the show to begin with. In like the first 10 episodes of the season, Zack begins to be really interested in this girl named Maya, as I stated, and they eventually start dating. One of the reasons why Maya agrees to date Zack, however, is because although he has a known reputation for being a player, he said he has changed his ways and that he might even truly love her. Which is honestly really great character development for Zack. Which begs the question, why is he so interested in this girl if he's already in a legit committed relationship with Maya? You could say it's in character for him to be all over this new girl regardless of him already having a girlfriend, but I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. The entire movie doesn't even mention Maya, and none of the characters seem to even care that he's flirting with this other girl. To break things down even more so, this is the timeline of events. In Prom Night, the episode right before this, the whole reason why Zack wants the prom to continue is because he really wants to dance with Maya. Then the movie happens, and suddenly he has no memory of that. Then in the finale, Maya breaks up with him, and he's literally depressed. This really doesn't add up at all. You could argue that they wrote the script way before he started dating Maya, but if that's the case, then why wasn't Marcus, who was the main character of the show, not a part of the movie? It just reiterates my point even more so that this movie was handled by people who had no clue about the Sweet Life franchise, which makes me wonder why they were even offered to do it in the first place and why they said yes.
Money!
Zack follows the girl, whose name is Nellie, back outside to the submarine station thing. I don't know what it's called. Zack tells her that he's actually very smart, and Nellie asks him if he's so smart, could he pilot a submarine?
Let's find out.
Back in the lab, Cody and Ronald talk about how close he is with his research and how he's trying to find a way to telepathically speak to dolphins.
Exactly how close are you?
Just really good friends. Why? What have you heard?
I meant with the research.
Okay. To the surprise of no one, Zack enters the submarine, pilots it to where Cody is, which freaks him and Ronald out. Cody grabs the second one to stop him, and hey, you know what? This CGI actually isn't that bad. They bump into the glass wall separating them from the sea, and it begins to crack. They escape before they get sucked out to the ocean, and are greeted to a very angry Mr. Mosby and Dr. Spaulding. They get out of the water and have an argument about what just happened, as Zack refuses to accept that all of this, or at least most of it, was his fault. A side point, if I may, the likelihood of Zack doing anything truly dangerous while in there is pretty small, I would think. If Cody just let Zack do whatever and then get caught, not only would the sea glass probably not have broken, but Cody probably wouldn't have gotten his scholarship to Yale taken away, which is the only reason why he was there instead of with Bailey. Also, shouldn't the twins, or at least someone, be held responsible for the damages that happened to the seawall? We know it's not vandalism because you have to actually do it on purpose in order for it to count as that, but someone should still pay up for that, right? For that reason, I'm going to make this The Sweet Crimes of Zack and Cody, entry number 1. Cody says that he'll never forgive Zack for what he did and that he hates him.
I'm done, man. We're through. We may be twins, but we are not brothers.
Hey, I've seen that before.
When are you gonna stop being mad at me? I told you I'm not mad at you. I'm done with you. Josh, I mean it.
Meanwhile, Bailey talks to London about Cody and stuff, and when Bailey walks away, London engages in a conversation with a dolphin. Yup, you heard right. London has superpowers now. She is officially Eliza Thornberry. Not gonna make a joke about it, we're just gonna let it speak for itself. Zack tracks down Dr. Spaulding and convinces him to give Cody another shot, in which Spaulding agrees to do. He tells him that Dr. Olson, a colleague of his, is doing a study on twins that might qualify him for a Yale scholarship called the Gemini Project. So Zack and Cody agree and head off to wherever it's located and meet up with Dr. Olson. Also, his last name is probably a reference to Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, because, you know, twins and stuff. Olson's plan is to use the research he is conducting to create a telepathic bond between people. He thinks if people can feel what others are feeling, that'll lead to more empathy around the world, thus causing less conflict. Which is exactly what I want to watch while watching a Zack and Cody movie. Good job, Disney. Zack and Cody were chosen because they have a lot of conflict with each other, thus making them the perfect candidates. Oh, if you're wondering, Bailey, Woody, and Eliza are getting attacked by crabs while all of this is happening. You could just tell they had, no idea how to write them into the script, so they just do stuff like this for most of the movie. During lunch, the twins try a new fruit called the Corsican fruit, which Dr. Olson creepily says is key to his research. The next day, Zack and Cody start experiencing strange occurrences. When one of them would get hurt, the other would as well. We see this demonstrated during a montage of, duo building exercises needed to bring the twins closer together. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention at that point. I don't know about you, but I feel like Cody should have a much bigger reaction to this considering he's apparently a genius, but whatever.
No, don't take it. No, every fallen petal is gonna represent one more phone call you don't get from him.
Shut up, Bailey. The twins go up to Dr. Olson and tell him about all the strange things that have been happening to them, and he brings them down to his lab. They conduct experiments to show that the Corsican fruit, when consumed by twins, creates a telepathic communication. Cody says that it's genius and doesn't seem to be the least bit concerned that this man experimented on him and his brother without consent. Isn't this also a crime? Probably a crime, right? This smoothie is insane. Zack leaves the lab and says he doesn't want to continue with his experiment, and Cody somehow doesn't understand how. I mean, I know these are fictional characters, but like, realistically speaking, is Cody really that oblivious to why someone would have an issue with literally merging himself with another person? How is Zack the dumbest one in the entire movie? Second dumbest one in the entire movie, yet he's the only one that is actually making sense. What are they trying to accomplish during this scene? Are we supposed to pick a side? Because the way that you're writing Cody in this movie, it's not very hard to be on Zack's side. I've actually been on his side for a majority of the movie, besides the whole cheating on Maya thing. While having their argument, Cody strikes himself in the shoulder and the twins engage in a battle sequence where they hurt each other by hurting themselves. Take a good look at this scene because it's the last one that actually feels like something that belongs in a Sweet Life episode. Zack leaves, which is something I was contemplating doing while watching this movie, and chats with Nellie, who with the help of her twin sister, helps out Dr. Olson sometimes with his research. She convinces Zack to take a walk with her. Nellie mentions that although Zack and Cody fight, everything will change once the merge happens. She convinces Zack to go back and help Cody finish the project, which involves eating the fruit again. Bailey finds the letter from earlier and realizes that she was wrong about Cody and that he chose to spend spring break alone because he can get a scholarship to Yale if he attends the lab thing.
Don't you dare criticize the sweetest fella on earth.
Sweetest guy on earth? Is this movie even canon? Bailey, in the Sean Kingston episode, you were making a heart for your dad who you haven't seen in years, and Cody thought it was for another guy, so he broke it in front of everyone. What has he done since season 3 of the original show that would deem him the sweetest guy on earth? This movie is so stupid!
Bailey drags London and Woody to the marine biology place to find Cody, while the twins have a conversation and realize that they can now read each other's minds, which makes this the second time the twins have gained superpowers. But at least the first time was a dream. They understand now that they are starting to become much closer together and that the merge is truly starting to take place. Zack and Cody are starting to have a heart-to-heart conversation, and Zack apologizes for messing up Cody's Yale scholarship.
I know.
Okay. While talking, Zack mentions how he's always been a bit jealous of Cody and the others because they have their life figured out while he doesn't. He knows he's good at something, he just has to go out there and find it, which literally could have been the plot of the movie, but okay. Later, they overhear Dr. Olson and Nellie talk about the merge that Zack heard about and come up with a plan to take him down and save every twin in the world from merging together and becoming one person.
During the merge, the twins become one, no longer...
Where is this dude reading from? There are no words on the screen. Cody says that they have to save all of the other twins and most importantly, stop eating the fruit while Zack chows down on it. That causes Zack to repeat everything that Cody is saying because now their speech is starting to become one.
You're becoming me.
Why did he deliver his line like this? Olson finds the twins snooping around in his lab, but Zack and Cody escape. This leads to Olson sending out a signal to every twin that he's mind controlled and makes them find and stop Zack and Cody. Hey, you guys think that Brady and Boomer from Pair of Kings and Tia and Tamara from Sister Sister right here? I mean, thanks to my multiverse video, we do know that both shows actually are in the same universe alongside Sweet Life. Would easily be the coolest thing about the movie if they were. The twin army marched their way over to Zack and Cody, and the twins escape using the zip line from earlier. They manage to get across to a warehouse where Zack falls down and hurts himself, yet Cody feels no pain. Zack also seemingly stopped repeating after Cody because it, I guess, was no longer required for the joke, despite it not actually making any sense within the context of the movie. They run into the warehouse and the twin army follow them, so in order to escape, they jump off a thing and land into the water, which just leads to the twin army meeting up with them there as well. They get captured and locked up back into the lab when Bailey, Woody, and Eliza burst through the door to rescue them. Woody's an idiot, so he touches the force field, which zaps him, and his hair goes all the way up in the air. Spaulding, who also arrived with the kids, tells Olsen to reveal who he really is, and that's when Olsen takes off his mask and reveals that he is actually Dr. Spaulding's twin brother. Whoa! Turns out that creepy janitor that we saw in the beginning of the movie, that was him. The violin player on the cruise, that was him. I'd explain more with what this dude's plan was or why he was evil to begin with, but honestly, I don't even understand it, and I don't think the writers did either. Dr. Olsen begins the experiment on Zack and Cody to finish the merge. The twins then... Alright. The twins then engage in an astral projection fighting sequence despite making up not even 10 minutes ago. Their fighting and arguing, however, is disrupting the merge from taking place. So they're told to keep doing it, and it works. Not only is their merge disrupted, but all the other twins as well. Spaulding and Olsen reconcile, Olsen gets arrested, and Zack and Cody walk into the sunset as they end the wild adventure that would have been great as a Lab Rats movie. Or a season 9 episode of Family Matters. Either one works. Back to the ship, spring break is finally wrapping up. Cody and Bailey end up spending their remaining days together, and Zack actually does end up getting a car. But Zack seems to have forgotten all of the character development that he just went through the past hour and parks his car in a no parking zone. And we all know what happens next.
Well, spring break's over. Now if I could just make it to summer vacation.
And there you have it, folks. The Sweet Life movie. After 6 years of patiently waiting, we get the movie we've all been waiting for, and it's a complete and utter disappointment. The Sweet Life movie, in summary, is an extremely poorly written, dissatisfying, and unfaithful adaptation to the Sweet Life franchise. Getting put in the spotlight where most shows usually shine, this film not only falls flat on its own, but also is a complete disservice to the IP it's based on, which is one of the reasons why I think that it ruined the show, and honestly, the legacy of Sweet Life in general. Although, yes, this wasn't the finale to the franchise, it was basically their way of going out with a bang, but instead it kind of just went out with a fart. And my question is, why? Why did you choose to have Sweet Life go out like this? Why not make a movie where Cody helps Zack find what he's good at during spring break so he can have some sort of career while Cody is in college with Bailey? Why would you choose to take a pretty simple show and then do something like this? Did you know that some people didn't even know this movie existed? And some Sweet Life fans didn't even watch it because of how dumb it was. But after doing some thinking, I think there actually is a reason why they chose to make the movie like this. That reason being Disney XD. When Disney XD came out, they made it clear that this was Disney for the boys. Nah, we don't have singers, we have rappers. And we don't have Princess Protection Program, we have Skyrunners. And honestly, I think they made the movie like this so it could, in a way, be a Disney XD film as well. Something that can air on the channel without it feeling out of place. That was their way of drawing more people to the channel. And the movie actually did end up airing on there several times. I could be wrong, but that's my theory. Overall, it's extremely disappointing to see how Disney treated Sweet Life in its last year, and I'm not even talking about the movie at this point. The finale itself is bad. Having Cody not make it into college even though he built a laser when he was like 11? Like, why would you do that? Funny enough, Cole and Dylan actually did end up returning to the network eventually, but in an episode of the 2011 series, So Random. And I guess it's time to announce that that will be the next Disney show that I cover on my channel. So expect that next month. Going back to my analogy from the beginning of the video, what happened with the Sweet Life franchise is like sending your most beloved employee from a company to a vacation, but it's a vacation to Ohio. And a Burger King coupon. Which I would gladly accept, but still. Cole and Dylan's final moments at Disney were not very memorable at all. And if there is anyone remembering it, it's probably not in a positive way. But enough talking from me. I want to know what you guys have to say. What do you think of the Sweet Life movie or the finale? What Disney Channel original movies do you want me to cover next? Let me know in the comments below. As always, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to hit that like button. Oh, also watch my Disney Channel multiverse video. Let's get that to 10K by the end of the year. I'm Mr. Nostalgia, and I'm out for now. Peace.